Hi, Denise.
Hello.
So at any given time, if you would like, you can stop this video and I can delete it. Um, but yeah, so this is just used for my class. And do you have any questions about it?
No.
All right, cool. So what did we come in for today?
Because I'm having like roommate conflict.
So what's going on?
So I live with 3 other roommates besides me, and just one of them, she's really like not understanding, and she thinks she's the boss of everyone.
Can you give an example of how she feels she's the boss of everyone?
So she'll like send out these group messages, and she'll just like be like super nice with you, but she's mad, like kind of like a fake person, and she'll just be like, oh, you guys need to do like A, B, and C, and if she doesn't have those things done, then she's like mad, and she gives out like a bad like vibe when you're in the room. Yeah.
Do you ever feel you misinterpret her messages in text, or do you feel like, no, I know she's for sure upset about, what she's saying?
No, I don't feel like I misinterpret it, because I feel like my other roommates feel the same way too. Yeah.
So what has been like leading up to the conflict?
I guess like cleaning wise, and yeah, I think just her attitude toward it. It's just like really negative, and like she just expects the house to be like always clean, but what she doesn't take in consideration is that everybody who lives here, they're like college students, and like for me, like I work too. So she's like thinks we just have all this free time to be like cleaning the house up and down, and I'm like, no, like, yeah.
Yeah, that could be pretty difficult. But so have you tried to talk to her about maybe the way she comes off towards you?
No, because she's like the type of person that it's like if you're like talking to like a brick wall. So like she doesn't give you like anything back. She just expects you to like listen to her and do whatever she asks you to do. And I'm like, no, that's not how life works. Like at least like a compromise, but she's not willing to compromise with you. It's just like she's always right, and nothing you say can possibly ever make anything better. So I don't talk to her because of that reason. Like, why am I gonna waste my time or energy talking to somebody who's just always thinks that they're right?
Have you noticed that your other roommates have the same conflict with her, or do you feel it's just something that happens directly to you?
No, it's all 3 of us. Like, different things have happened with them, or like they have gotten into arguments with her. I haven't gotten into an argument with her, but, well, I did actually. But that was like with our little meeting we had, like a roommate meeting. But, it's all 3 of us. It's not just me.
So each person has individually tried to address the conflict that's going on in the house.
Yeah. Like I guess like one bad thing is like she always texts us instead of telling us in person, and like we like sometimes it gets like misinterpreted, and also she just like, she's acts like she's happy, and she acts like she loves everyone, and she acts like she's a child of the Lord, but she's not. Like, well, like people she's Christian supposedly, but like when you're a leader, like how she is, like you're supposed to like act a different way. You would think that she would be more mature about things, or like stuff like that, but she's not. So sometimes I like question that, like, how are you a leader when you can't even like talk to your roommates, or when you're so like negative toward things, like.
So do you think that adds to the conflict, that this is the kind of person that you're stating that you are, but you feel her actions don't align with it either?
Oh yeah, like, yeah. I talk to my other roommate Genesis. We always like talk about it. Well, not like always, but like we've mentioned it, like how there's other leaders that are like ministers and stuff like that, but they like take conflict in a different way than she does. Like, yeah, she just like she won't listen to you, and yeah, I don't know if it's maybe like how she grew up, that like maybe she was always like seen as an authority figure or something like that. But like, or maybe like where she grew up, she was always like, oh, this is how it is, or I don't know. But coming here, it's like it's been like difficult to adapt to that.
So you think cultural differences sometimes play a role in how you guys communicate, or even just how your viewpoints are?
Yeah, I try to understand her, because I know I'm like, okay, we're not all like raised by the same parents or by the same culture, and You know, like I do try to like say like, okay, maybe she's like this, or you know, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to being understanding too, and that's something that I think that she's not. Like, you know, even if you do everything right, she's still mad. Like, she still has something to say always. Like, she can't just be like, oh, thank you for doing that or anything. It's always like, no, well, you didn't say thank you for washing the dishes. Like, I'm not gonna say thank you. Those are not my dishes. Like, you know. So it's just little things. And she's like 20 something or 30 something. So you would think she'd be more mature and we would be the immature ones. But no, it's like the opposite way. But yeah, I try to understand. I really do. But now it's like come to a point where like I don't really care for her. You know, I'm just like whatever. I see her just hi and bye. But like nothing like other than that.
Has helped resolve it, or?
Well, we had a meeting and that sort of helped. But we had like a mediator in like the room, so that changes like how she acts, because she was acting really really nice to us, like to me and all my roommates. But when we're like before we had a meeting, like where it was just the roommates and then we had the mediator meeting after. But when we had the first meeting when it was just the roommates, she was like super upset with us. She was like yelling and like raising her voice, you know, at us and making us like feel belittled and stuff like that. But then when we had it with the mediator, somebody who she knows and who she works with, like that made like a ton of like a difference in her attitude. Like she was just so nice and she was like, yeah, we can work things out and like whatever. But yeah.
So you feel she didn't hold to what she actually expressed during the meeting when?
Well, I think she still did, but she was just like try to be our friends and like try to be like all nice to us. But in the house she's not like that. So like she has two different personalities when she's with us and when she's with like somebody who she knows or who she works with, just so they don't see her differently or something.
So do you feel that even with the mediator that enough got solved, but not very much of like your viewpoint still wasn't fully seen?
Yeah, I think like it did help to have a mediator there, because yeah, it just like did. But yeah, still I feel like she didn't understand and she was still like, no, this is my mindset and I still think that this is how like the house should be cleaned and how you guys should be and stuff like that. So it did help, but I think, I don't know, I just come to a point where I just don't care. I'm just like, whatever, like you guys want to have it like that, then that's fine. But I'm not going to worry about it. I'm still going to do my own thing because that's how I am, you know? Like, I like do what I can. I wash my dishes, like when I have dishes, you know, I clean up after myself. Like if the other roommates don't do that, then that's like not my fault. But yeah.
So do you feel even from the very beginning walking into this that it has always been like that, or you just begin to start feeling that way more and more when like the text messages would come, or even just her not expressing any thank you, or just how she even spoke to you? Like, was it a build-up, or you're like, oh, this just suddenly kind of happened and we're like, what's going on?
Well, like the first semester, like yeah, she would text us and stuff like that. I think it's always been like that. Like she has always like yeah, she has always been like that since the beginning. Like very like like being like authoritative,
Yeah.
and like just like yeah. But I think it like progressively got worse, and like we stopped replying to her messages because it's like, why are we gonna reply to you? You know, like we have like a million other things going on. The last thing I care about was like if the dishes got washed last night. You know, like I'll get to them, and But yeah, I think it has always been like that. But she said since the beginning, like I don't want to be like an RA or a mom to you guys, and like we're like, yeah, you're not gonna be one. So I think she like just set herself for that standard. Like, oh, I'm gonna like boss the girls around because they look like they're nice and they're not going to say anything, until we started speaking up and saying stuff.
That makes sense.
Hi. Hello.
So, do you feel like that, have you always had a hard time even confronting conflict, like prior to even just living here?
Yeah, I have. Because like my family, like I come from a Mexican background, so sometimes like a lot of problems didn't get like resolved. Like they would just brush it off, like, oh, like if my sisters or my brother or like just like yeah, my family members, if like you did something to them, they would just be like, oh, that's fine, you know, like I'll get over it. Just like with that mentality. I think it's like culture-wise, you know, like you don't address things because you're just like whatever, like either nothing's gonna change or I'll just like keep on going, you know. So it has been like hard to address conflict, but yeah, it has.
So what made it different this year that instead of how you're normally raised, like I'll just sweep it under the rug, and now I'm going to learn how to confront it? Like what actually led you to that point?
I think just because of this particular roommate, how she was just so like, I don't know, I would call her evil. I still call her evil. Like just how she is, you know, just her character and her personality. It's just like I'm not gonna like let you like talk to us like that, you know, or just be so like aggressive with us. And when we're not even doing anything, when you walk in the house, you don't see like the house super dirty. Like to her it might be dirty, but like to us it's like clean, you know, like it's the house isn't like filthy. I know what like filthy is, you know, like I'm like a clean person, or like, you know, I like things to be organized, so I know like what like the standards are, but still to her it's just like no, it's still dirty, or you guys have to work on that, or just stuff like that. So I think this like just this semester was just like it just got to a point where it's like I'm not gonna take it anymore. Like I like want to block her from my phone, you know, like I don't want to talk to her like ever again. Yeah.
So who do you feel has helped you the most with even just going about confronting the conflict?
I don't really know. I would say like nobody, because like I don't really like to my family. I don't really tell them what's going on like up here. Like I do tell them about like school wise, but I don't tell them about like issues that happen with roommates, because I know if they were to come visit, they would be like, that's the roommate, and they would be like rude to her or something. So I don't want to like. I want them to have their own perspective on her because of their judgments, not because of what I said. So I typically like don't really tell anybody like what's going on, you know. And just like it's been nice like talking to Genesis, because like she's going through it with me, or she knows how things are. But I think that would be like the only person, because yeah, like she understands that she lives through too, you know. She sees like the things that I see. But other than that, I don't really like talking to like my family about stuff like that. And I think also like talking to you, because like you experience some things that I've experienced. But other than that, yeah, just try to stay away from that.
So when you come home, what like kind of keeps the peace for you, you know, when you're actually in your house, to avoid any tension possibly even coming, or even if you felt that way prior in the day, you're like, you know what, I'm still gonna walk in here with like a better attitude about it? Like,
to be honest, I know it's not the greatest answer, but just like ignoring her and just saying like hi and bye, like having as little communication as possible, just because of the way she is. Like I'm a really happy person, and like I love everyone. Like I don't like, you know, like I don't like hating anybody or disliking anybody, because I just don't think that's like right, you know. Like you should be nice to everybody, but I think just her just has come to a point where like I really don't care for her, you know. Like I don't want to have a relationship with her just because of how she is. Like she has had like a year to change, or to be like, oh, like I'm a little more understanding of you guys, or just stuff like that, but I don't see any change. So I really don't like, that's what helps me, like that's what keeps like my stress down, like just not talking to her at all, or just letting her like just seeing her and be like hi and bye, like that's fine with me.
do you think the change should only take place with her, or do you think there should be aspects of you that even made an adjustment?
I do see like where I can like make adjustments too, but even then, if I do make the adjustments, I feel like she'll still like nag and be the same. Yeah, and as it is, like I do what I'm supposed to do, you know, like I do what's in my part to like help keep the house clean, you know.
So just really the aspect of the house being clean.
Yeah, and then just yeah, it's basically that.
So do you think just even from dealing with it this year that you're able to even just handle conflict with other groups, such as going to work one day, or you know, even like a classmate? Like, do you feel like, oh, so much of this year's actually even just taught you how to go and confront people in like the best way possible?
Yeah, I think like even though this hasn't been like the best, like resolution or like because like there's not really a good outcome. Like I'm still the same toward her, you know, even after the 2 meetings. Like nothing changes, you know. But I think more like addressing it to like my family, since like we don't have a background of like talking about like our emotions or anything like that. So I think like there it has changed because like when I went home like for spring break, like I like told my sister like I talked to her about like stuff that was going on like between me and her, and I was just like, you know, like yeah. So it has helped me like address some things with my family more. And with work, like I usually don't have problems. So yeah. So I don't really have anything like to say toward that.
So it's had a good outcome. It's taught you to even go back with your family and learn how to speak to them even more so.
Yeah.
Has that been like really hard to even start that with your family, even after learning it, or you're just like, I'm going to fight to even do that the same way you were doing that here?
Wait, can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So, like, after learning how to do it here, did you feel like that much more confident doing it with your family, or was it still kind of just as hard, but where you're like, no, I could kind of like learn how to do this the same way I had learned how to do that here?
Yeah, it has been like easier, but it is harder just because they're not like that, you know. They don't like, they just like go about their days. Like if we get mad at each other, we usually just like let it pass, you know. We're just like, oh, it's a new day tomorrow, we'll get over it, you know. But it's like no, like now, like one sister, my sister Mika, like she was kind of like, she told one of her godmother, she told her that I like wasn't spending enough time with her when I went down home for spring break. She's like, Denise like was neglecting me. She didn't spend any days with me. And I was just like, no. Like we got in the car and I was just like, Mika, don't be telling like our family that I'm not spending time with you. You know, like we're not spending time together because now you have a boyfriend. You know, like. And you decide to spend your time with him. But like I told her, I was like, don't be like going around and telling other people that it's me because it's you. I was like, I was here the whole week. Like I was at home and you just like, you weren't there. So like I addressed that with her and she was just like, well, you're like right. And, but like, you know, so like addressing that to her and just letting her know how I feel. Yeah. So like with that, like it did help me.
So your main thing is always making sure both sides of the story is heard.
Yeah. Yeah. Just making, yeah. Because I told her, I was just like, no, like, you're wrong. Like, I was, like, we were in the car and I was, like, fighting with her. I was just like, no, like, I know, like, maybe, yeah, if I do something wrong, like, yeah, go ahead and talk to, like, your godmother or my tia or, you know, like, yeah, talk to them, you know. But I was just like, but not when you're, like, when you're just, like, flipping the story around. Like, I was home the whole week and just for you, like, you decided to spend time with your boyfriend, and I understand that, like, maybe when people get into relationships, that's all they see. Like, maybe one day I'll be there too, and I'll be like, you know, but don't tell them that I didn't want to spend time with you. It wasn't like that. Yeah.
That's really good. I know that happens a lot of times when if something's going on, you're like, but did you hear, like, you know, two sides of the story? Like, the same way probably you do with your roommate where you're like, hey, there's very much how I'm seeing it. I want to see your side, but we still have to make sure, like, you know, there's a compromise in between it.
Yeah.
Which is really, really important because, I mean, I think that's hard to see something not resolved, especially it could be something very simple that, you know, but what do you felt that at least you yourself was like, you know, even if you don't change, I'll at least make an effort on my part in this area to grow. Like, you're like, you know what, even if you don't do this, I'll at least try to, you know, do this, even if it doesn't make sense to me, but it's just to kind of like get the piece in here.
I think just like cleaning wise, just like trying like my best to make it look like, I guess, reasonable for her or something, or like meeting her standards. I think that's like the only thing I can do. But like my attitude, really, I know like it needs to change, you know. But like, you know, when you're like, oh, I need to change, like, but then you're just the same person and you don't really make an effort. That's how I am. Like.
So do you feel it would actually make a difference that even if you even just see her, you're like, hey, with a real smile, because people do feel what you give off. Like,
yeah,
will that make a difference even?
Sometimes, like, I would not say yes, but even, like, sometimes, like, when I have asked her, like, oh, how was your day? Or in the beginning when, like, things were different, like, last year in, like, August or September, she would still give me back, like, oh, I'm good, or, like, you know, just, like, little answers. And so I would just be like, oh, well, she doesn't want to talk, or, yeah.
Are you okay with getting a small answer, or are you more
What if
expecting,
I ask you, like, how you are? I expect you to be like, oh, I'm great, like, my day was like this, or something, not just like, oh, good, like.
Do you think that could be a cultural difference, even?
Yeah, because, I think it could. But, yeah, I don't know. Right now, I just, you're young, and you're like, I don't care, it's a roommate, I'm never going to see her, like, in 2 years from now, like, so. But I do need to work on that. Like, I see that in my part, that I should change my attitude. But sometimes I'm just like, why am I going to make the effort? Like,
oh, because you want to see the other side work just as more? Well, what if that never happens? I mean, even at least for you, that you can see a progress of like, hey, at least I know if this ever came up. Example, if you get married, you might have a rough day with that person too, and that same thing might come up. It probably, obviously, I don't think it would be the same because you chose that together, but I think just the effort of like, no, like I know this is hard, in this moment, but I will still make an effort on my end to, be like this. So, do you make those adjustments even now, or I'm not thinking that long term.
Well, I think like if I like married the person, I would really, really love them, so I would make the adjustments for them, or I try with them. Like even with my family, I'm always like I'll like never stop like trying for them, But like sometimes I categorize things like, oh, my family, like they're way up here, like this person is way down here, so I'm just like, you put an effort into the things you want to put effort into, like well, that's the way I see it, like even with friends or like with my like close friends, like my best friend Frances, today's like Mexican Mother's Day, like I still call her, and I call like my sister's godmother, so it's like with the people who I want to try with, like I try with, and I won't give up on them, or like Genesis either, like I won't give up on Genesis because like she's so close with me, but so I like choose like, you choose your friends and you choose your family.
Do you think your respect level is usually the same for everybody though that you come in contact with?
Usually, I'm like really respectful. Yeah, you can say that. Like to her, like I respect her and stuff, but that just because I respect you doesn't mean that like I don't know. To me, it doesn't mean like I have to have a good relationship with you,
No, just one that's authentic. Even I think that.
Yeah.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
But I mean, at least I know like hopefully like next year that example like I guess even like say like starting even a new school year, you could probably like even if you wanted to, and that might be hard, but sit down and be like, hey, like going into the school year, this is what we are desiring, and even again, please state what you want, but we have to meet, in a middle ground, because it'd be enjoyable to come into your house every day and be like, hey, and it's like all awkward and you're not comfortable even because I mean just as much as she lives here, you live here too, and you should both be able to enjoy your home comfortably. Not I don't really care for you, and like vice versa.
That's true, but I don't know. I just feel like talking to her. Like I feel like I don't talk to anybody. Like I feel like there's just a chair there. Like it's not a person there because she just doesn't listen. So like I understand what you say, and I would try to like I would want to like get there, but I think like I would just be like talking to myself, and like.
So you feel that even if she's there, she's just listening to say she listens, but it's not actually like taking in your perspective.
Yeah. So I just don't waste my time anymore. I'm just like, well, whatever, that's fine. That's all I can say.
It's okay, but yeah. Oh, do you even feel like your roommates have learned how to handle it even better, like outside of just you?
I'm not sure. Maybe Genesis. Genesis is like me. She just ignores her. So I don't think that's going anywhere.
Does it help any better?
And then and then the other roommate, I'm close to her, but I wouldn't like know her perspective. Yeah.
Well, no, confrontation's not fun. It is that. I think it's just good if you're like, hey, I know like this is how it is, but I think like really learning to still just be how you pretty much are like your authentic self without just such a like, I don't like you because, you know, I mean, even though they're not maybe demonstrating the character they should be, that you don't change any aspect of you even across it.
Yeah.
Because I know, don't like let somebody even shape how you're going if it's not to the benefit of you. Like, you know, if you're like, I'm not normally like this, and don't even start leaning towards that direction, because if you normally don't respond in a certain way, then continue not to respond in a certain way. Like, you know, but
yeah, I think that's something like I have had to learn, like sometimes just to be quiet, because I could have said like so many mean things to her, and I'm just like, okay, I'm choosing not to say that because I don't think like it would be nice, you know. But sometimes it's just hard to like stay quiet when they're just like, you know, telling you like you're wrong all the time.
Yeah. Well, are you a Christian like she is?
Yes.
So what does your background even say about that? How to even handle like how you're viewing her?
I don't think God would be very happy, but I think God has to like understand that I have like came a long way. Like, it's not like I decided to be like this like one day from another. Like, it has like progressively like got there, you know. Like, I didn't like just wake up one day and like was like, I'm never gonna talk to her, I'm like gonna dislike her my whole life. It's just like, just because of her actions or the ways that she has like showed me, or like, you know, like I feel like I can't really have a relationship with her. But like, yeah, I know like in the Bible it says like, you know, love your neighbor and love like everyone. So like, yeah, maybe I do love her, but like just because I love you to me means like, doesn't mean I have to have a like great relationship with you, you know. Like, I feel like distance is better in our relationship
than actually ever becoming closer.
Yeah.
That's not bad. If that's what has to work, I mean, yeah. But I asked you because they were like, well, she's a Christian. I'm like, well, are you one too? Or, you know, you have to keep the same perspective. Like,
yeah. I try to be like civil and like try to be nice and everything, but just with her, like, I don't know, she's just one person. Like, coming to college or like even through high school, I never had to deal with somebody who has been like so like negative or just like harsh, you know. Like, yeah.
That's good. So even if you're like, this isn't the greatest thing, I know, but what have you even just learned more about yourself in it?
Think about that.
Like, what weaknesses have actually this exposed, and even like what strengths that you've seen even of yourself of like, hey, like,
I think just like weaknesses, probably like just controlling myself, because like just like with what I say, or like before I got like saved, how I was, you know, like how like just like hold on, let me get my thoughts. Okay, so let me give you an example. So like when we met the first time, like she was like, oh, you can talk first. So I started talking. And then she was talking, but she was saying things that weren't true. So then I like kind of like butted in. And then she was just like, I gave you time to talk, right? And I was like, yeah. And then she was like, well, now it's my turn to talk. And she started getting loud with me. So I like got loud and I like yelled. I was like, just finish. Like, I was so mad. So I think like learning how to like keep calm, you know, like being like, Denise, like, you're not like this, like kind of how you were saying, like, don't change yourself, or just because you're in this certain situation, don't go like out there, you know, like just be like, okay, Denise, like in my head, like even though you probably like, you know, you're like, oh, like I really want to like, I don't know, like just like kick you out of the house or just make you disappear, like you can't, you know. So I think that's something I learned about myself. And also I think like taking like your problems to God and just like talking to God about it, like, God, like, you know, like I'm struggling here, like I don't know like what to do anymore, because I'm like the type of person who I don't really talk to anybody. Like when things go on, I try to like deal with it on my own and just like through God. I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna go tell the whole world that I have a roommate who's like this and this, you know, like, yeah. So I think just like learning like how to deal with things on my own and being more independent and not like telling my family or like stuff like that.
So you found a strength in just talking and praying it out with God, instead of like where prior that you just never told anyone, where at least you're like, hey, I talked to him about it.
Yeah. And then also like talking to Genesis, just because she knows what's going on, like she's here and she like sees the same things I see. But yeah, other than that, I don't really like talking to other people just because like their perspectives might change for that person, and I don't want to be that person who's like, oh well, Denise said this and this and this about that person, so I don't like to be that.
So you feel it's a strength that you carry.
Yeah, because like I wouldn't want somebody like saying stuff about me and then like like having a different perspective about me just because that person said like, oh, Denise is like this. So yeah, like I would like people to make their own judgment on that person, like not to go like on the mindset already of like, oh, that person is so like negative and she does this to like her roommates or yeah.
It's really good though, because most of the time we're more fast to be like, this is how they like it.
Yeah.
And that's really good that you give other people a chance even still to make their own perspective, especially in case like they actually end up really enjoying, the person versus they have that in like the back of their head. But it's good though. And so at least you've been able to see even just how like you handle stuff, and even, hey, these are the weaknesses of even myself that have been exposed, and now here even like the strengths that have been coming out of it. But yeah. You'll do great with all of that. So, but thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it. So.
You're welcome.